All right, so we went to our private Facebook group and we asked our members some questions.
Okay.
Because, as you just alluded to, a lot of people were like, you guys don't really touch on nutrition much, and that's what we want to change, right? So
Right.
we're going to get started just by kind of.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Just
Test,
feels like
test.
I'm not talking.
Test, test, test. Well, you're not talking, that's why.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so first question is, what is a macro and how do we count them?
Okay. A macro is a macronutrient.
Mhm.
It is basically, you have 4. So there's 4 big macronutrients. There's your carbs, your fat, your protein, and then alcohol.
Mhm.
Alcohol is its own little entity over here, And on the other side of that is your micronutrients, which are your smaller nutrients, your vitamins, your minerals, that type of stuff. So basically, how you count macros is based on what your fitness goals are, I guess. You can count macros to cut, which is to, lose some extra fluff.
Mm-hmm. Lean out.
Lean out. Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
To lean out. And then, you can reverse, which is kind of bulking. So you're adding more calories in to technically lean out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, to grow muscle, but that you tend to lean at that point too. So depending on what your goals are, depends on how you count them.
Yeah.
We always try to, protein's good, always good for, muscle. Carbs are always good to restore those glycogen, stores. Fat's good for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on how you want to go about it, something balanced. I know CrossFit always talks about like a 40-30-30.
Mm-hmm.
And precision nutrition was very also balanced, so 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat.
Yeah.
So.
And essentially these, micronutrient or macro, sorry, it's extremely relevant to calories, right?
Right.
But it's
it makes it up.
Yeah, but it's broken down to percentages that allows you to, I guess, focus on what your body can use, because in excess amount, it's not really wasting, but it isn't used, right?
Correct.
So I guess using macros, would you say, gets you closer to getting your body exactly what you need? It's kind of like if you went to a gas station and you pumped gas and then the nozzle stops and then you just took it out and you kept putting more gas, you know what I mean? Just outside of the car, kind of.
Right. Yep. But you definitely want to make sure you're having enough too, of all of those nutrients.
Big time. So let's maybe dive into it. Like, if you were to sum up and say, what is fat good for? Like, what is like if we were to break down, let's do this. Let's break down the macros, and if you can kind of touch on, which ones, what they do.
Okay.
Right, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's start with fat. Like, what is fat good for? Why do people need fat in their diet?
Okay, so fat is for everything. Fat is hormone function. Fat is brain function. Fat helps with the gut microbiome. Fat over the years has gotten a really bad rap, but fat is actually how your body functions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It fuels your heart. Fat is like that main component.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. And where do we get fats from? What are some good good foods?
Some good foods. Your avocados, your nuts, some of your seeds. You can get them in some of your oils, avocado oil, coconut oil.
Even animal lard.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. You can, if you go into that, people use that too.
Yeah.
Like bacon fat.
Mm-hmm.
It's not actually bad for you.
Yeah.
We've been cooking with it for years.
Yeah, big time.
So.
And who doesn't love to cook their hash browns in bacon grease?
Well, right.
Right. Sorry, bacon fat.
Well, and if you think back to like, I don't know, did your grandma ever have like a can of lard?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And she cooked with it.
everything was made with lard, pretty much, you know.
Yes.
So no, and
So fat is, I think like I said, it had that bad rap in the, what is that, 80s, where they were low fat.
80s, 90s,
90s,
yeah, I don't
but
know.
maybe still.
Maybe all the time people are like, no, I don't want fats. Well, and I think too, you know, and you can always dissect everything, but you know, and even there's high quality fats and low quality fats, you know. So even if we talk about animal fat, if you get some animal fat, sometimes the growth hormones, not the growth hormones, the hormones, the antibiotics, some of those things can be stored in the fat. So I guess it depends on the quality of it too.
Yes,
and same thing goes for olive oil, I guess.
Yes, I mean, we could get into, and it depends on what you're using them for too. You know, olive oil, you just stated. Sorry, so that took me squirrel.
No,
We're out
fine,
now.
yeah.
We're in this direction.
This is going to be bad.
Well, and that's what I was thinking. Some of these questions could be probably an hour long.
Sure.
But you know, like olive oil isn't necessarily meant to cook with.
Yep.
So you're burning off those nutrients. So it's also using them properly. You know, these nutrients. It's also how our body breaks them down.
Sure.
Like not everybody's body also uses these nutrients how we would like them to.
Sure.
You know, so it really is person by person.
Big time.
Also.
Big time.
You know, so there's a lot that plays into I guess how your body absorbs it and how you feed it and what you feed it. And
well, and I think we can add fish oil into that too, or even just fish
oil
in general.
Fish in general has good.
But same thing. Yeah, it's the quality. Right?
It is. Going back to that, you know, now after veering to the olive oil, we're heading back this way.
Yeah.
So they claim that grass-fed beef is like the nutrients in it are above and beyond, even like the fats in it are better than like your salmon. Like the nutrients supposedly in beef and red meat is supposed to be like the top end all be all.
Yep.
If you get it grass fed.
Sure.
So grass fed, grass finished.
Yep.
And so, you know, that kind of throws a loop for people because depending on where you source your, you know, get your food and where it's sourced and all the things, you know, but if you listen to, you know, I like to listen to Rob Wolf, and I like to, you know, I've read a lot of books and they all talk about, you know, it's huge, that source.
Yep.
You know,
well, and it's just like vegetables too, right?
Yep.
I mean, you can dive all into that,
You
but
could.
but I think too, you know, just like anything, you know, the more locally you could source your food, the better quality, and the more you can eat from it and get those macronutrients, but then also the micronutrients.
Correct.
So since we're talking about beef, what is protein used for?
Protein refuels your muscles after a workout.
Okay.
It also, protein is going to maximize your fat loss and it's going to minimize that muscle loss.
Okay.
It's going to keep you satiated longer. It's going to, all the things too. That's
All
another
the things,
I mean, it's really good.
Yeah.
So like, that's why they're the macronutrients. That's why they're the big guys,
Yeah.
you know, they really, there's a reason why we have them. So I feel like all of them mixed together is what's really good for the optimal
It's
wellness.
it's not just only eat protein and you'll be fine type thing.
Right. But yeah, so, you know, your proteins, are going to be like, yes, your meats, chicken is a good one, even your fish. Now you can do supplements too. You can always get protein within that type.
Yep.
But I think, you know, I think the whole food source is going to be your best bet, you know, and then there's different types of proteins, you know, so, you know, you can always have your whey, your casein, you know, so you have, you know, your whey's more quick absorbing, but the casein is technically supposed to help you stay full longer. It's supposed to absorb better into the muscles.
Okay.
So that's your dairy.
Yeah.
Now your whey is your like byproduct of dairy,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So
and I think too, it comes down to
processed and non-processed.
Exactly. Yeah. And what do you handle?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
I know there's some people like I can't really handle some dairy well,
Right.
or even just some whey protein. So obviously my protein then goes to like egg white protein, stuff like
Right.
that. So
Yep. And egg whites are perfect.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And then last thing is going to be carbs.
Carbs.
The war on carbohydrates.
Yes, and this is one of my favorites. You know, I feel like it feeds after a workout. Let's start there, right?
Mhm.
So it fills those glycogen stores. So basically, that is your sugar levels or the sugar that's stored in your liver and the muscles,
Mhm.
right? So it's good to have carbs.
Mhm.
I feel that it fuels you.
Mhm.
If you start to, if you follow CrossFit nutrition, even precision nutrition, a lot of these books, they talk about if you're feeling laggy, then add in the carbs.
Mhm.
That's your energy. Some of your fuel source there.
Yep.
So I think that it also plays a huge role in that thyroid function.
Mhm.
So that's hormones also.
Gotcha. And so going back to counting them, there's calculators all over the place, right?
There's calculators all over the
Yeah.
place. So CrossFit does 40% carbs, 30% fat, 30% protein.
And what's that number based off of? Is that based off your overall calories that you should be eating? Is it based off body weight? Like how do you?
Yes, that is. So basically that's the zone diet,
Mhm.
is what they kind of follow. So that is based off of your calories.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're eating, whatever 2,000 calorie diet, 40% of that is your carbs.
Okay.
And then 30 and 30.
Gotcha.
Okay. But I think I was going to say something and I forgot. That's okay.
No worries. We can maybe come back to that.
Okay.
Cool. So
Is that kind of what you were
that
asking?
was perfect. And it wasn't my question. So,
Okay.
I already know whose question it was, but I won't say their name.
Okay.
But yeah,
They're
no,
anonymous.
and that's the thing is like, it seems that every year there's something new, and it's a lot of it comes from research, right? A lot of it
Yep.
comes from new findings. So like, that's not to say science doesn't work, but sometimes it's hard for people to put a grasp on it. I think us here at CrossFit Loveland, we believe in just keeping things simple. And I think that's why we didn't touch on diet for so long. Cause I was like, just eat veggies and meats
Yeah.
and stay away from processed foods and drink your water and it should be good. But
That's hard in the world we live in now.
it really is, and it's hard to understand what's
Mhm.
processed and what's not, especially when the gluten-free came out and now plant-based is out, so everyone's like, oh, cool, they got plant-based hamburgers. All
Right.
right, well, let's look at what the ingredients are in plant-based hamburgers versus what's in an actual hamburger.
Right.
And so we can kind of, that's a whole nother thing.
Whole nother thing.
But I think just overall understanding what macros are and not like being so obsessed with scaling or like weighing out your food, more along the lines is just giving your body what you need and not feeding it in excess or not starving it, right?
Exactly.
And people being afraid of carbs or people being afraid of fats or, low protein or high protein or whatever.
Right. I mean, essentially, when you go on any diet, you eat healthy, right? So you change everything.
Yep.
You usually start moving your body. You're more aware of your water.
Yep.
You're aware of what you're putting into your body, food wise, nutrient wise. So you're doing all the right things.
Yep.
And
it's just
so
what are you focusing on?
exactly. So I think that if I think depending on what it varies on the person. What is
Sure.
sustainable long term?
Sure. Big time.
So there's people who don't miss bananas, and that's okay. I like bananas. So I just don't feel like some diets would be sustainable for me.
Sure.
But I think that if your goals are achieved in the long run, then
Doesn't matter.
no,
Doesn't
it really
matter.
doesn't.
I mean, obviously, there's some very excessive ways. Like
Oh
if
my
you're
goodness.
starving yourself and you're
Yes.
like, "Hey, I'm skinny, but
You're
I can't do anything,"
Right.
But I think overall speaking, it doesn't really matter how you skin the cat as long as like you reach your goals, right?
yeah, and you're fueling properly.
Yeah. So on that, this next question is: Is there a specific eating plan, diet you prefer and found to be most successful for people?
I think that kind of like what we just said,
Mhm.
whatever's sustainable for you. I feel obviously whole foods.
Mhm.
I think that over the years I've learned, that CrossFit does it. Ben Bergeron was talking about it. It's really eating like whole foods, not a whole lot, veggies, right? So that's Ben.
Yeah.
That's what he states. Greg Glassman states meat and veggies, nuts and seeds, little starch, no sugar, right?
Some fruit. Yeah.
Some fruit. Oh, yeah, some fruit. That's right. And then he states that, we're trying to sustain exercise, not body fat.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's something along the lines of keep levels enough to, sustain your, what is it? It's something exercise, but not enough to hold on to body fat, essentially.
Yes.
I think it's as simple as that.
It really is.
Quite honestly.
Nutrition gets a complexity to it that doesn't need to really be.
No.
If it has eyes and it comes from the earth, like, cool.
Yeah.
That's going to probably benefit you most. It's more bang for your buck.
Yep.
Now, is that always something that's going to be at your doorstep?
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Are we going to have to run and grab, whatever from wherever? Yeah. Are we going to go out to dinner with our friends? Yes.
Yeah.
But I think for most people, if you just try to stick to those parameters of the grocery store, right? And if things don't mess with your gut, then stick with it. You don't necessarily have to remove something if it's not, bugging you. I think having a balance of all the macros are good.
Yep.
I think having a balance of processed versus non-processed is good. We definitely want to have, you got to think of it, those processed foods are made in a factory, right?
Yeah.
So the nutrients that you get from it are way different than something that comes from the ground.
Yep.
Well,
and it's the rule of thumb. If you can't pronounce it, try
right.
don't not eat it, but try not to eat it. You know what I mean? Like, keep it simple. Let's go back to the plant-based burger. Like, if I had a choice, I'd just eat meat. However, but if there's some people that are like, you know what, I like the idea of a hamburger, but meat products mess with my gut. I know a really good friend of mine, and that's why they went to vegan. They weren't, or plant-based. They weren't really, animal cruelty or anything like that. Like, that's still could potentially be an issue.
Yes.
But they just felt better eating plant-based products or just staying away from meat in a sense. So, I feel like the best diet is the one that works.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And when you are thinking about, and I dislike the term diet because it's very restrictive,
right.
And so one thing I always tell people is, like, make sure you have balance, but make sure you have an end goal, So like the Whole30, I mean, I've done Whole30 4 or 5 times and it's always been a great reset. But then day 31,
ready for pizza?
I'm ready for pizza. You know what I mean? And I think for the world that we live in, with such a high percentage of people dealing with chronic disease and obesity and overweight, we don't need to make it perfect.
No, we just need to make it consistent.
We need to make them consistent, right?
Yeah.
And something that they can build on. And, maybe if they do enjoy eating cake, like, yeah, sure, but teach them and have them understand, like, you can have your cake, just make sure you, leading up to that, you choose something healthier, or even just limit the portion, Right. I think it's this mentality that's like all or nothing.
Yes, the popping of all 4 tires, so one tire pops, so let's just pop all 4.
Yeah, pick time.
So, so I think enjoy your cake, but, have maybe a burger without the bun at that party, or
with a bunch of lettuce.
Yeah, not even that.
No, lettuce is good on a burger.
Lettuce is really good on a burger, and tomatoes and.
Dude, just think about it now: a big juicy burger on a bed of lettuce with tomatoes and onions.
I want pickles too, and mustard.
And pickles and green chili.
See, we, I don't do well with gluten, so that's a pretty norm. We turn everything into bowls.
Same.
So I make a burger bowl. I have some potatoes on the bottom, or a lettuce, bed of lettuce. So for like a salad, and I literally add all those things, and I turn it into either a burger salad, or you can even throw like Thousand Island dressing on it. Yeah. Get a little Big Mac style going, whatever.
And I mean, that's how most of our, and Kinsey's just a veggie head anyway, but I mean, even bratwurst, like, we don't do bratwurst without buns or anything like that. We get the big box of the mixed greens, and that's our bed, right? As long as we have that, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter what goes on top of it, but like now you're at least getting greens in.
Yeah.
Like you're getting some sort of veggies in. So even if it's legit just a bed of lettuce and then a ton of meat on top, like you're still getting those micronutrients and the greens in. So
yeah. There's a meal we make in the winter that it's a sheet pan chicken. It's one of like the first recipes I think I ever made as a sheet pan. And it's like Brussels sprouts, potatoes or sweet potatoes, chicken thighs, and then like bratwurst or Polish sausage. So you cut it all up and then you just put the thighs on top. It's one of our favorite meals, you know.
So simple.
It is.
So simple, not a lot of mess. And
Throw
I
a
think,
little sauerkraut on top.
Yeah, and I think that's what so many people get afraid of is they think that they have to make this 9-course meal with all these different veggies and stuff, and it's like you can make it pretty simple. Biggest rule of thumb that I think you and I both can agree with, and I think precision nutrition really drives this home, is looking at your plate. Is 2/3 of it covered with veggies, and is 1/3 covered with protein or protein source, right?
Yep.
I think that's the easiest way to go about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now you're not counting macros.
Nope.
You're not trying to, you're not trying to think, oh, well, I need to have this much chicken and, I need this, I need, I'm just going to put this little bit of veggies. Like you just look at your plate and you just see what's the majority. And if the majority is veggies, like that's great. I mean, heck, even deep fry, whatever, have some deep fried chicken tenders or whatever, but as long as you got your veggies, you're good.
And it doesn't have to be tasteless.
Exactly.
I think people think that it's
I
unflavorful,
think,
and you can make it good and taste good
without having to deep fry it.
Well, right. There's that too. But and also a thing that I think is huge is eating till you're full. I think with a lot of these, I've counted macros, I've done Weight Watchers, I've done a lot of these, and you have so much food to eat in a day. And now I feel like you're just eating it because it's part of your macros.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So now I've counted this is mine. Like this is what I'm doing, and I'm doing my 40, 30, 30. And, and so then I'm like, well, you almost forget that you have cues.
Sure.
Like hunger cues and fullness cues. So then you're full and you're still eating because it's just on your plate.
Yeah.
And this is what you're allotted.
Because you have to meet your macros for that day.
Well, and that's it too. Yep.
Yeah.
Some people can get pretty obsessive with counting macros.
Yep. I did it for 2 days. So I had done it for 3 months. And then I just tried it at the beginning of this year. And I did it for 2 days. And I was like, this is dumb. So let's do this. If we were to pick 3 things on what can make people most successful with picking some sort of way of eating, what would those 3 things be? And just simple cues that they could take home right now.
Consistency.
Okay.
That's huge. Don't sabotage yourself.
Okay.
Don't pop one tire and think you need to pop the rest of them just because you had a Friday night, you know. And then protein.
Okay.
So I think, if there was something that you were to hit every day, try and make sure you have those protein and veggies on that plate,
Big time. So what are your thoughts on nutrient timing and how important do you think it is?
Okay. So for those of you who maybe don't know what nutrient timing is, you're basically eating to support your workout, right? So before, during, after, you're eating to support peak performance. You're eating to recover, basically for that optimal health, right? So I think, can I answer this in 2 parts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think that your average Joe, I think the complexity, I think the added complexity and just being cognizant of like what you're eating and how much you're eating really is going to benefit for the long term.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now this is just for your everyday person, right? If you want to take it up to the next level, if you are a competitor, if you are an elite athlete, if you are someone who does rigorous workouts, maybe a couple times a day, couple hours a day, I think it's a great tool to have in your toolbox.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that if you are to really look at how the nutrients work and how they feel in your body, I think that now I feel like you have to give it time though, also, because like we were talking about earlier, not everybody breaks these nutrients down the same, right? So I think that essentially, I think it can be a good thing.
Okay.
I know that, starting to work here, you had to start to look at that chasing excellence. I know Ben Bergeron touched on this one day about how his athletes, they don't do it all the time, but when they really want to get down to the nitty gritty, they do. They spend time on what they're eating, when they're eating it, focusing on that 40-30-30 with each meal.
Gotcha.
So not just spending your day focusing on it, like, oh, look, I had a smoothie for breakfast that took 30% of my carbs. We're talking 40-30-30
every meal.
Yep. Okay. Now looking back on that, we were just talking about the complexity of macros.
Yep.
So like I said, your average Joe, I think the benefit is probably there, but it depends on the benefit's definitely there.
Yeah.
But what are you working for?
Sure.
What are your goals?
Sure.
And
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like the nutrient timing piece can be a benefit as far as creating consistency with your eating.
Yes, sir.
Because it's so easy to skip breakfast. It's so easy to skip lunch and then still try and work out. And I think too is not so much nutrient timing around working out, but nutrient quality before you work out, right?
That's huge.
Obviously 5 a.m., 6 a.m., it's a little bit harder unless you wake up early and you have something a little bit lighter. But, if you come to the 8 o'clock class or if you come to the noon or the afternoon class, understanding, and I think that helps too. Or even if you work out in the morning is like the night before, I know when I need to do something important as far as fitness goes, I plan ahead, right? So I'm like, I'm not going to eat McDonald's tonight.
Right.
Because when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to have really bad stomach issues and my workout's going to be doo-doo, right?
Yeah.
So I think just the idea, right, of like not necessarily timing it. I need to eat this 3 hours before, but what is that?
No.
What does your meal look like before?
Yep. That's huge. Or even after, those 5 a.m.s, because I don't think fasting workouts are necessarily bad.
Yeah.
But like you said, there has to be that, the evening before. There's times where, let's say it's a busy day, and you wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom at 2 o'clock and your stomach's growling. It's probably not going to be your best 5 a.m. workout.
Sure.
If you're doing deadlifts, it's probably not going to be a PR day, and then, and maybe it will, but that's also on how you run.
Yep.
Like some people do totally fine on fasted cardio
or
on fasted working out. I don't necessarily like to come in, like I've been starting to really enjoy the afternoon classes, but I do feel like I wouldn't want to eat dinner before I came in here at 5:30.
No.
But I think with nutrient timing, you'd have to get better at trying to find a balance with that.
Sure.
Sure. And I think if you're paying that much attention to your timing, you're going to be paying that much attention to your nutrients.
Absolutely.
So I don't think you're going to go have McDonald's before your workout is the plan,
Sure.
right? If we're that cognizant of what we're doing, then, I think if you had, some sweet potatoes, some eggs, and whatever, Brussels sprouts, or, if you had a little like scramble before, with all of your nutrients in it, not stuffing yourself, you're going to be fine.
Yep, I agree. So cool. With that being said, let's chat a little bit about, there's another question about post-workout carbohydrates, clean, dirty, or it doesn't matter. And can you touch a little bit on the clean, dirty
part? Yes, sir. Okay, so I'm always going to say clean.
Yeah. What's the
that,
difference?
well, yes, I was just going to say. So that makes me a little hypocritical
Yeah.
because I do like, okay, so the difference. So obviously dirty, which I don't like to really say because they
Yeah.
can be kind of clean,
Yeah.
are your supplements,
Yep.
right? So your whole foods are going to be your clean,
Mhm.
right? Now we're back to talking about like the additives
Mhm.
and all the things. So is it best to come home after workout and make yourself a meal? Yes.
Typically.
Is it always time convenient, or is it, I mean, some of us are, like you said, are coming home at 5 a.m.
Yep.
We've got a call at 6:30. We don't get home till 6. The kids
Yep.
have to go to school at 7:30. I mean, it's 9 a.m. before we can really sit down and have ourselves
Yeah.
a balanced meal. Some of us.
Or even if you feel like it, you know.
Right.
So,
yes, there's that too.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily want to answer one or the other. If obviously we're always going to want to pick clean, right? If you have the option to make yourself a nice breakfast after a workout or a nice lunch after workout, nice dinner, whatever, yes, go for it.
Okay.
Now, do I think it's bad to have some recover? No.
Mhm.
Do I think it's bad to have some BCAAs afterwards? No.
Mhm.
You know, I don't mind protein shakes. I think that, you know, it kind of breaks down to that balance.
Yeah.
You know, we want to get our nutrients in. So I think it's better than not eating.
Yep. Big time.
You know, so I think if you're running out the door and that's all you have time to make, then please make it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think better on that, you know, like with the nutrient timing also, or the macros and the micros, but, you know, grab yourself a protein shake and a banana. So now you're half and half,
Yeah.
you know, so you're filling those glycogen stores with your banana and you've got your protein. So you've got, you know, so now we've got a little supplements and a little whole food,
Yep.
you know?
Do what works.
Exactly.
And that's why it is. It's a lot of the things, and it's always kind of a cop-out answer. Like, I think we're going to hold on to our beliefs, what works for us, but that's not really what it's about, you know?
No.
So it's always going to depend
Yeah.
kind of on the individual.
I like clean foods personally myself, but like I said, I'd be hypocritical if I said that.
Yeah.
I take a pre-workout.
You dry scoop, bro.
I
You
dry
dry
scoop.
scoop your green tea workout.
And I also really enjoy my BCAAs after
Sure.
I do a recover. I add it with water. It tastes like chocolate milk. It's my favorite thing of the day. So, you know.
Perfect. All right. We're going to take a quick break. Then we'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back. So we just finished talking about post-workout carbohydrates, clean, dirty, doesn't matter. Our answer is always going to be it depends. As far as protein sources, so this question is being posed as reaching macros. Same with the carbohydrates, you know, probably going to be the same answer. Protein sources and whole foods versus supplements. Depends.
Right.
But can you supplement too much when you're trying to reach your macros? And I think in a surplus, I think you're going to find a lot more carbs and proteins.
Yes.
You know, when you're trying to gain weight or you're trying to like, and typically, right, there's either three ways. You're either in a deficit, so you're below your typical calories that you need, you're at your calories, or you're in a surplus. So that's when you're trying to gain weight. You're trying to eat more than what you actually need.
Right. Gain
So-
muscle, I think, is usually,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like I
Gain
think,
lean muscle.
yeah. You know, because they claim that you have to be in a surplus to gain muscle,
Mhm.
but I don't necessarily believe
I
that.
think there's a lot of other factors.
Yes.
You know, so that's always hard with those types of things.
Yes.
As far as supplements go, though, so
Yes, sir.
protein, I feel for a lot of people, protein is probably one of the hardest to get.
Yes.
As far as reaching your macros go, because fat, you have a couple strips of bacon, boom, you're at your fat. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Carbohydrates, same thing. It depends on really what you eat. You know, there's some really dense, rich carbohydrates out there that you can get to your macros pretty quick. But I personally feel, and people I've talked to, protein seems to be the hardest, and that's why I think people supplement it. So I think this question is, can you take too many supplements, or can you supplement it
Too much.
too much?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Only because it's processed.
Mhm.
I don't want to say any way or the other if this is how you can get it in,
Yeah.
you know, right? We want you to get your protein in. I feel like you're better off maybe just making some hard-boiled eggs at the start of the week,
Mhm.
right? Eating some of those egg whites, maybe, you know, if you are trying to really hit that protein and not so much the fat.
Yeah.
But I think for myself, I try not to do too much, because then I think too, you're using it for other sources. Are you using it for a sweet tooth?
Yeah.
Are you using, because some of these protein bars taste like a candy bar,
Pretty much. Or protein shakes.
or even the smoothies. I
Yep.
mean, yeah, now you can get ones that taste like
Oreo.
yes.
I just saw that today.
Chocolate chip cookie dough.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's great. We should enjoy our food.
Absolutely.
We talked about in one of the segments how it's like, well, you're eating things that you don't enjoy just to what?
Yeah.
For what?
Yeah.
So
or you're drinking a chalky milkshake.
Right.
A protein shake. Ugh.
Yes.
Anyway,
so I think so yeah.
So
anyways,
okay. I know this is going to be a hard question, but if you were to pick a percentage, say in your daily proteins, and for this example specifically, if you're in a surplus and you're trying to gain muscle, if there was a percentage of clean versus supplemented, what would you try and hit clean protein?
50%.
50%. Perfect.
I'm just going to go right down the middle.
Okay.
Because it is, I never want to call anyone out, and I never want anyone to feel like they're doing something wrong because they're doing what they can.
Sure.
You have the tools that you can to survive, right? Yeah. But I say, try, just try to meal prep a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If you do have a hard time hitting some of those whole food proteins, and you are in a surplus, just, get yourself some yummy dip and dip some chicken breasts in there,
Sure.
Like for lunch or, but yeah, definitely try, put forth some effort to just at least have a little bit of the whole foods.
Sure. Sure. I agree.
So,
and I think too, to kind of barely touch on the micronutrients is what allows you to recover, so if you don't have those micronutrients, there's a lot that you're missing from that. And that's why that's why we say it's whole foods is just so simple, because it has everything you need.
But it's so hard on so many levels, because you do have, we move. We're in a crazy world, so not everybody has time.
Exactly. Well, and I think right now in the world we're in, I don't think we need to be focusing too much on these little details, right?
No.
Like for people in here big time, because or I always say, master the basics, right? Get really good at the basics. So if you're hitting, like, I always hate to use her as an example, but Kinsey's never tracked macros.
Right.
And so we looked at her eating, and I was like, well, are you even like hitting them? She hit very close to her number, maybe 10, 15 grams plus or minus.
Right.
All of her numbers of what she should be at for her goals.
Right.
And she's never tracked.
Right.
She's just an intuitive eater. So that's what I say. Like now, if she wants to get to that next level and do nutrient timing, or if she wants to compete at the games or whatever it is, whatever her goal is, now she has mastered the basics, so we can move on, you know?
And that's huge because, a lot of people have a hard time with that.
Yep.
You want to have more potato chips than broccoli. You want to have, and a lot of it's just how they process it.
Convenience too, yeah.
Yeah, convenience is huge, but a lot of this stuff is just things you crave. I mean, there's a reason you get off Whole30 and want pizza on day 31.
Yep.
So it's not just as simple as like, oh,
yeah,
just choose carrots.
Just 2 carrots. Kinsey's like, yum.
I love carrots, but you can't tell me that.
Yeah.
Most people besides frickin' Kinsey is going to probably say pizza tastes a little bit better than carrots.
Yeah, big time. Big time.
So I think it's also just that, like being satiated. But
yep. Yeah.
But some people don't even like pizza, so that could totally just not even be their thing.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be my friends. Anyway, all right. So this is kind of a hard question to answer, but we'll do our best, I guess.
Okay.
So how can eating healthier help me reach my goals? Is the question.
Well, that's actually a very easy question.
Yeah.
Eating healthier helps with everything. So your performance is going to be better. Your recovery is going to be better. Your, everything. Wellness. That's kind of what we talk about, right? In CrossFit. So like over the years of your life is basically health, right?
Yep.
So, so I think, if you have the chance to fill your body with nutrients instead of, processed foods, I think recovery is huge. those nutrients are going to fuel. I mean, it's everything.
It's
Right.
stress, it's
Oh
sleep,
my gosh,
it's
yes.
actual fitness. So yeah, so I think
I
it
mean,
was I think it was hard because it's like, what are your goals,
well,
right?
right,
So that
right.
was kind of the hard question,
But to
but
just essentially be, I mean, eating healthier is obvious, is most definitely going to improve everything.
yep,
Right?
yep,
We just discussed this. I mean, you're not going to eat McDonald's for dinner and come in here and have peak performance in the morning.
yep.
They burn off faster.
Mhm.
It's not how you fuel your body
Yep.
is how it's going to function. I mean, that's
Exactly.
nutrition dictates the functioning of your body.
Yep. Well,
Hormones,
and it's even
all of it.
yeah, and it's even what's used in the nutrition, like I don't know, cellular level, however it is you want to phrase it. Like, how are all of those tiny little things being used compared to something that can't be used, right? To
Right.
where at that point you're literally just putting stuff in your body.
And that's just it. I mean, yes, your stomach's getting full,
Mhm.
but there's really nothing that's coming out of that that's actually fueling your body.
Sure, sure.
Unfortunately, I'm not talking crap.
Yeah,
I just,
no, you're fine.
I don't want anyone to ever feel separated or,
Yeah. Well, and that's what we talked about. We're not here to create super skinny people
No.
and shame all the fat people. We're
No.
here to get people what they need, you
Yeah.
know.
Which is overall wellness.
Overall wellness, whatever
You know?
whatever makes you feel good.
And 80-20 is going to get you there.
Yep.
You're not going to get there by missing out over
Mhm.
the next 20 years of your lives just to fit in a smaller pair of jeans.
Exactly.
That's not where we're at in life.
Get stretchy jeans.
Right.
Or don't
Or wear leggings.
wear leggings and shorts.
Yeah, don't wear pants.
Don't wear
even better.
pants.
But yes, I think being healthy, eating healthier is going to fuel everything
Big
that
time.
much better.
So for CrossFit workouts, what's an ideal pre-workout meal?
I think goes back to that nutrient timing.
Mhm.
So I think definitely having, if you want to have that full, like that optimal, right? That optimal wellness, I think going back to that 40-30-30. So have yourself a nice amount of your carbs, protein, and fat.
Mhm.
So maybe you have some egg whites, avocado, even just an egg with some egg whites, some veggies on the side,
Sure.
something like that. Whole foods, definitely carbohydrates, they fuel.
Yep.
I think a banana is said to like fuel, I don't know, 3 strenuous workouts or something like
Yep.
that, because it's so complex. It takes the body that much more to break down.
Mhm. So my go-to meal
Yes.
back when I was like consistently hitting the 5 a.m. or the 5 p.m. This was before I was a coach. This was when I was literally just a member. I worked a 9 to 5 job. I had 0 responsibilities. It was quite nice. But my go-to meal, and this was in the afternoon, is I'd have my leftover breakfast. And so that was sweet potato hash
Yep.
with scrambled eggs.
Yep.
And then I would sometimes mix in greens, but then I'd have a banana
Yeah.
right afterwards.
Yep.
And it's simple, right?
Very.
All whole foods. Eggs are protein. The sweet potatoes are carbs. The veggies are just the micronutrients, and the bananas.
Yeah.
Like you
All the
said,
things.
all the things. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not smart, so I don't know. It just
Yes.
it
Carbs was your banana.
Yes, carbs was my banana. And
Your eggs can also be your fat too.
Yes, yep,
I mean, there
absolutely.
is some protein in there, but eggs have a lot of fat.
Yeah. So
which is good. I mean, it's not a bad thing.
yeah, and here's the thing, right? Is I didn't know what was actually in there.
Yeah.
Until I got smarter.
Right.
But it worked for me.
Right.
It gave me the energy I needed to perform without messing with my gut, without feeling lethargic or tired or anything like that. So I think
those
that's
are all whole foods. So
yeah.
they're not necessarily meant to,
yeah, So
and it's better to not know what's in it. Like you
Yeah.
said, I didn't know what was in it. And so, people start to fear things. It's like, oh
Yeah.
God, I have to be afraid of the banana. I have to be
Yeah.
afraid of the egg. I have to be afraid of.
And even with that rule, like the 40-30-30, like some people can get so obsessed over it, right? So
Mhm.
like just keeping it simple and just saying, find whole foods, see what works for you. You got to
Mhm.
give it more than 2 weeks to see if it actually works for you. And if it works, great. If not, tweak it,
Right. And that's a big thing too, is with a lot of these answers, you have to test your body. You have to see, you know, because things that work for someone else most definitely might not work for you.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, test it out for 30 days. See how
Yep.
you're feeling. Try those post-workout meals. See what's helping you. You know, they talk about that too at CrossFit. You know, if you're not being fueled, then adjust.
Yep.
Take some of those carbs away. Add more fat. Take some, you know, like you can adjust.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so I think essentially to fuel your body, they talk about taking that.
You have to.
You know, adding more fat in, you know, and so CrossFit talks a lot about that too, you know.
No, and I truly believe that, like, yeah, like we talked about earlier, is there's no wrong diet or way of eating. It's just what works best for you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So ideal post-workout meal is probably the same exact.
Same.
It's the same exact answer.
Yep.
There's nothing. I think for us, there's no reason for us to make it more difficult.
No,
right?
it doesn't need to be. You know, break it down. Like I said, you know, glycogen stores, carbs are good. We want to fill those back up, right? Because you just depleted them.
Yep.
You know, we just fatigued our muscles. So, you know, those tissues, want to fuel those back up, you know.
Yep.
So but I think essentially, yeah, just definitely if you're going to hit anything, you know, protein, carbs are always good. But I think if you're going to hit those two, you might as well just throw some fat in there.
Some fat. Avocados are so easy.
Yep.
And if you don't like avocados, make a salad. Throw some
Yeah.
olive oil on your salad. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yep.
there is so many basic things, and you can't make it. Olives,
Black olives, green olives. I mean, there's a lot of really good fats out there. You know, it's huge. Brain power.
Oh, big time, big time. All right, so this is actually a fun question. Favorite healthy snack?
I like carrots.
Okay.
I like hummus. I like hard-boiled eggs. I like a protein bar here and there.
Sure.
Um,
If I'm going for like a sweet tooth or a sugary, what I'll do is I'll chop up bananas.
Yeah.
I'll drizzle honey on them.
Ooh.
And cinnamon.
Yep.
If you want, you could throw in some peanut butter or almond butter.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
It's such a treat. I mean, it's super high with sugars.
Right.
But I mean, it satisfies me, and it's also, I kind of like that too if I need a quick little snack before a workout. You know what I mean? If I ate like an early lunch or a late breakfast or something like that, and I'm working out at the 4 or 5:30, that's always kind of my go-to. Or even on Saturdays, I'm not much of a breakfast person before 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So if we have like the open or something that I'm doing the workout at 9, you know, I need to fuel myself.
Right.
And eggs will make me burp and then eventually throw up, you know, in the middle of doing burpees. I'll be like, what?
Yeah. So that's another thing. If you have to eat what, you know, because not everyone's going to throw up after eating eggs.
And then, I don't want to burp. And then someone next to me be like, what the hell, dude? So anyway, yeah, I love like that as my snack. Yeah. And then even
apples, strawberries, you throw some peanut butter on there. Yummy.
And I think a lot of us snack because we're bored. So anything that you can chew, right? So like I even will enjoy doing like cucumbers or bell peppers, or like carrots are really good too. Carrots with peanut butter is really good because you kind of get your carrots in, but you get the sweetness from like peanut butter or almond butter.
And I like tuna salad or chicken salad.
All right, now you're getting off topic, dude.
Well, no, like on cucumbers and.
Oh.
Yes. What?
Okay.
Tuna salad, and then you eat it with cucumbers.
See, I got burnt out with tuna salad, so in wrestling, right?
Oh,
that's
a pretty big protein right there.
Oh, well, and that's all I ate.
Yeah.
That's all I ate was tuna and crackers.
Yeah.
Literally all I ate. Oh, and yogurt. Oh, it was awful. That's why, I mean, there's eating disorders in all walks of life, you know, and then especially wrestling. If you've talked to a wrestler, like I feel like if I knew about paleo back in high school, I would have been. That's probably what I would have done. Okay, if I could have gone back and told myself there's a better way to lose weight and be lean but still be fueled.
Yes.
I would have done it, but I didn't know. We didn't know any better.
Yeah, and you do. You live and you learn. And, you know, I was listening to a podcast the other day, a lady who does macros, and she talked about that too. You know, if knowledge, we all have the knowledge, it's the application.
Yep.
So too, it's like even with the knowledge,
You don't get it
you
right.
don't always get it right.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
but I think snacks, also to proper fuel, even with Whole30, they talk about
Sure.
that plate, so getting all of your macros in,
Hmm.
so a good healthy snack would be to have like a carb, a fat, and maybe a protein,
Hmm.
if you do well with yeah, cheese sticks, even, like a string cheese has, I
Yeah.
think, 7 grams of protein. It has about the same amount of fat, but still some protein,
Yep. Dude, and I think like, Whole30 preaches no dairy or gluten, or
Right,
processed foods.
right.
But if you find what works for you, and I think you talked about this a little bit earlier, so like
Well, I
I
kind of
say,
through it out there because of the 40-30-30.
yeah,
She
and
talks about that a lot too. Melissa, who wrote the whole
yeah,
30, she talks a lot about just balanced meals.
hmm,
If you're going to have a snack, keep it
keep
balanced.
it balanced.
Don't just carb load.
Yeah,
That's not going to satiate. Well, I mean, it might satiate you, but it's not going to keep you full.
exactly. And that's where I think we fall on like those excessive sides of the spectrum, and
Right.
we don't find balance,
Right.
because we're too focused on gluten-free options, dairy-free options. I know people that can't do gluten, but they have dairy just fine.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. I think the consistency piece
Huge.
of it is huge, right? It doesn't matter what you eat. Well, it does, because if you consistently eat McDonald's,
Yeah.
you will get those results. You
Right.
know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
So I think,
Protein
quality
and
of foods,
vegetables. Yep.
keep them high, right? But I think overall, if you're consistent, if you're mindful,
Yep.
I don't really like, you can, like, it can be so simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It truly, really can. Cool. We
Yeah.
got our last question here, and then we're
Okay.
gonna wrap it up. We have a question. Why did I gain 7 pounds in 7 days in Mexico?
Tequila.
Lots of tequila. That's what I kind of thought. Unless if you drink too much tequila that you throw up, then you should have lost weight and or maintained it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also on vacation we do things that we don't normally do.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
How much of your vacation is planned around food?
All of it.
Right?
I mean, so that's so that's another thing. A lot of like a lot of these diets, it's like, well, you still want to enjoy yourself.
Absolutely.
You don't want to go on vacation and be following your macros.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal if, like, again, if you have those, if you understand the foundations of it,
Yes.
you can literally eat wherever you want.
Well,
You know
right.
what I
And
mean?
he had lost like 5 pounds
Yeah.
by Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know what day I saw him, but
Yeah.
he was like, it's already
Yeah. It's
five's
already
gone.
gone.
So I think a lot of it's just water.
Yeah.
You don't follow all those basic
No.
things. You probably don't put the protein or your vegetables first and then your
Yep.
protein, right?
Yep.
You're probably scooping on the whatever potato salad first.
Yep.
Chips. You don't, you have probably
Drinking-
extra alcohol.
Drinking a lot,
You're
staying
not
up late.
Staying up late.
Mhm.
So that sleep, the nutrients, not enough water. You're drinking alcohol.
Yep.
So you're not like, oh, I'm gonna have a beer. Oh, I should probably drink a water.
Yep.
If you think about it, it doesn't always go that way.
Sure.
It's usually just alcohol upon alcohol.
Sure.
Right. So there's a lot of factors how that could all happen. But
It was tequila.
all in all,
it was tequila,
it
bro.
was tequila.
Yeah.
It's
Lay
not
off.
fat. It's not fat gain.
Do they have fat-free tequila?
Yeah,
Do,
right,
do they have
right.
gluten-free tequila?
Right.
Well, I think because tequila is made from agave and agaves, so it's bad for you. It's sugar. Just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Right.
I don't drink tequila though. Cool. Well, thanks for doing this, Shauna.
Yeah.
I do know that you are going to start stepping in and offering some nutrition consulting and coaching, and not necessarily just on nutrition, but building lifestyle and habits. So how could people get in touch with you if they wanted to sit down and have just a 15-minute chat about, kind of where they're going, what they're wanting to do? How can they find you?
Through me, Annie.
Through me. Okay, perfect.
Usually.
Perfect through me.
I'm in and out,
Yeah.
I can also leave, we could always leave some notes of my email and
Yep.
so you can reach out. But yeah, always reach out. Like
Yeah.
I don't mind sitting and talking. I could talk about this for days.
know.
I really enjoy nutrition. I
know.
think it's just neat.
But yeah, no, and I mean, we love having you, and we're going to be setting up a lot more one-on-ones for you to help people.
Yeah, it'd be nice to do some challenges.
Yeah, big
just
time.
even to make people or help people just be aware of what those foundations are,
Yep.
you know, because
Absolutely.
we do forget about water, and
Yeah.
we do forget about just some of those basic foundations that can really sleep,
Yep.
that can really help. Minus, you know, everybody's so worried about nutrition, and that's part of it, but that's not all of it.
That's not all of it.
No.
It's not all of it. So it's the way I always like to break it down is like you're in the gym for 1 hour, so you have 23 hours of other stuff.
Yeah.
How much of that are you actually eating?
Right.
Maybe 4 hours.
Right.
So then now that's 19 hours of other stuff. Now
Right.
sleep is, you're doing a lot more sleep than you are working out and eating.
Right. And you should.
Yeah, and you should. Stress, if you work a normal job, you know, what is it, an 8-hour day? Now you're dealing with 8 hours of stress. So like
Right.
those two things are taking up a much larger part of your day
Right.
and can be adding to your overall health.
Oh, yes.
You
yeah.
know, so
Stress is huge.
big time. But we'll do one of these again. But yeah,
Okay.
if anybody wants to reach out with Shauna, you know where to find her. She has a wealth of information. I think she could add value. And yeah, just thanks for doing this.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.